Hey guys, Madison here, back for another Film Friday, and this week I decided it was time to watch another classic movie. It's been a while since I've watched a 1940s era black and white, so thought it was time to go a little bit further back in time this week. So I had some older movies on the poll, and the winner is one that a lot of people have been wanting me to watch for a while now. It's The Philadelphia Story. So that's what I'm going to be watching today, and I'm really excited because if you know me, if you've been watching my reactions to classic movies, you will know that two of my favorites have become Cary Grant and Jimmy Stewart. And they're both in this movie. So I'm really excited, really excited. I've never seen a movie with both of them in it. And it also stars Katharine Hepburn. And my understanding is that it's a bit of a love triangle. I don't know anything about the plot, but I do believe that there's a love triangle involving the three main characters. So I gotta say, I feel for her. Or maybe she's lucky. I don't know. I can't imagine having to choose between Cary Grant and Jimmy Stewart. How does one choose? I don't know, but I guess we're gonna find out. We're gonna see which one she picks. I don't know, but I am really curious to see how this drama unfolds. So I'm going to jump in here pretty quick, guys, because I am excited. I am loving going through all these classic movies that I've never seen. So let's see what happens with the love triangle, guys. Who is she going to pick? Cary Grant, Jimmy Stewart? Let's find out. Rare. Uh-oh. Oh my gosh! Did that just happen? 2 years later? Oh my gosh. So she was already married to Cary Grant, but they got divorced. And now she's marrying this other dude.
Mother, be an angel and get these things out of the way.
Yes, darling.
This stinks.
Don't say stinks, darling. If absolutely necessary, smells. Only if absolutely necessary.
Please
Only if absolutely necessary.
let's forget about the past. We both deserve some happiness now. Isn't George an angel?
I like Dexter.
Why don't you postpone the wedding?
How?
Get smallpox.
Now, don't put the idea in her head.
George isn't usually late.
He's waiting for us at the stable.
Waiting for... Mother, if I don't choke her before Saturday.
It'd postpone the wedding, wouldn't it?
It would not.
She's so mean about Dexter.
He was rather mean to her, my dear.
Did he really sock her?
Well, he almost did, but then he just face shoved her.
Oh, I wish something would happen. Nothing ever possibly in the least ever happens here.
How dramatic.
How do you get smallpox?
You don't want it, trust me.
This is Uncle Willie's favorite.
He was very engrossed in that magazine.
Where'd you get this idiotic thing?
I love it. It's got pictures of everything.
It certainly has. Who is that terribly attractive man?
Hello, darling.
Hello.
Well, how do you like me?
I adore you, but you look awful.
Hey, what? Oh! Ouch! Say, listen, get it out. They're new.
Don't do that.
Say, Dinah, is there anything in there about the wedding?
It's the little sister's name, Dinah. I'm swearing I'm hearing Dinah. Which, special place. Wait, that book's different now. Over here. Dinah. My main character. My main girl.
Filthy ideas. Coming into a private house with a camera.
Not in my home.
Oh, never mind, Eddie. I'll get up myself. Whoa, Bessie.
It's a long way up on that horse.
What's the matter, Bessie? You act worried.
Maybe it's because his name is Jack.
I'm a writer. I'm not a society snooper. I'm going to tell him just that.
Just that.
Start writing short stories again. That's what I should be doing anyway. I'm going to tell him just that.
Just that.
Just that.
I don't think you're being fair to me, Mr. Kidd.
You really hate me, don't you, Connor?
I don't like you very much.
You hate me, I trust, Miss Embry.
I can't afford to hate anybody. I'm only a photographer.
Tracy Lord, married on impulse and divorced in a rage, and always unapproachable by the press. The Philadelphia Story. Quote, a wedding day inside mainline society.
Take this. Quote, no hunter of buckshot in the rear is Connor. Unquote. Close paragraph.
Closed job, closed bank account.
Now, we're not gonna do it, Liz. It's undignified.
Well, so is an empty stomach.
She's funny. I like her.
This gentleman has been employed in our Buenos Aires office, and I believe he can help us with our problem.
You might say Miss Lord and I grew up together.
You were her first husband. I remember your honeymoon very well. Your little sailboat, the True Love, wasn't it? I was the only photographer whose camera you didn't smash. You threw it in the ocean.
Oh, you want to get even with your ex-bride, huh?
I'll have a car pick them up at noon tomorrow in North Philadelphia.
Here, Mike, there's a little spit in your eye. It shows.
She is sassy. And she does it with just stone cold expression. It's amazing.
Is Mrs. Haven, Miss Tracy or her mother in?
Well, they may be down at the swimming pool, sir.
I'll go around myself and surprise them. Oh, Edward, these are friends of Mr. Junior, says. You might have them wait in the south parlor.
Seems a little cold for the south parlor. What's this room? I forgot my compass.
Well, this would be south-southwest parlor by living room.
How many parlors are there?
Looks like I run the hawk shop on the side.
Uh-oh.
Just look around.
I feel like that wasn't supposed to happen.
C.K. Dexter Haven plays polo, designs sailboats. Poor guy, I wonder how he fell for it. Sitting room, terrace, pools, stables.
Probably so they can talk to the horses without having them in the house. Yes?
This is the voice of doom calling. Your days are numbered to the seventh son of the seventh son.
Oh my gosh.
Dexter, don't you know that tomorrow's the wedding?
Oh, that's right, so it is.
You can go right back where you came from.
You don't think I miss your wedding, do you?
Stay here. We're having no house guests over the wedding.
How about the groom?
He's staying at the gatehouse.
Oh, that's good. Well, you'll like the people Juniors did send, I'm sure. I better come along with you, introduce you.
Introduce me to whom?
Oh, well, I better start from the beginning. Sit down, dear.
This isn't gonna go over well.
See, it was Junior's idea. And as we're in Philadelphia...
You're
just now, he
lying,
thought-
Dexter. I can always tell. You went to work after the divorce, didn't you? Who for?
A magazine.
And it wasn't by any chance Spy magazine. And I don't suppose the Juniors' friends are photographers by any chance.
Dinah, stay here.
Oh, please, Mother. Maybe he's going to soccer again.
I want them out, and you too.
But first, could I interest you in some small blackmail?
No.
Some small blackmail.
It's about your father and that dancer in New York.
Well, they can't, even if it's true. Where do you get these?
Sidney Kidd, the editor and publisher.
He's got to be stopped.
Well, he is. That is, if you'll allow those two to turn in a story on your wedding.
I'm going to be sick. Well, Mother, we're hooked. They aren't anybody's friends, but we're to pretend they are.
I'll bet it's on account of Father and that dancer in New York.
Is there no such thing as privacy anymore?
Only in bed, Mother, and not always there.
We must just be ourselves.
But you want us to create a good impression, don't you?
He writes short stories, very down to earth.
They'll love us.
Oh my gosh, the wit in the dialogue is so good. Hilarious.
You better go and tell them how terribly, terribly happy we are to have them.
That's the old Quaker spirit, Mother Lord.
All to save face for her father. Maybe they should just let her father go down, you know?
Was there a library in town?
Yes, my grandfather built it.
Now, about this girl, Tracy Samantha Lord. Oh, what's her leading characteristic?
She has a horror of men who wear their hats in the house.
Tell 4 footmen to call me in time for lunch, will you?
Enchanté de vous voir. Enchanté de faire votre connaissance. Can you play the piano? I can, and sing at the same time.
Oh my goodness, she's hilarious. I feel like I've seen her in something before and I can't remember what it was. She looks so familiar.
Oh, so even more, so Lydia.
What is this? Idiot program.
Mais qu'est-ce qu'il y a? Voyons, tu es toute pâle. Montre-moi ta langue. Bien que ce n'est pas le smallpox.
The smallpox?
Mais oui, va dire à maman de se dépêcher.
Oh my gosh.
You're a kind of, writer, aren't you, Mr. Connor?
Sort of.
Under what name do you publish?
Macaulay Connor. Well, my father taught English history.
Where did he teach?
A little high school in South Bend, Indiana.
You must have had a most happy childhood there.
Yeah, it was terrific.
I'm so glad.
No, I didn't mean it that way.
I'm so sorry. Why? Are either of you married?
No.
You mean you were, but now you're divorced.
What?
Well, it was years ago. I was only a kid.
Good heavens, Liz, you never told me.
This is amazing.
This is your first visit in Philadelphia. And how old are you, Mr. Connor? Are you going together?
Well, that is an odd question, I
After all.
must say.
I could ship it, potentially. There's chemistry.
As he was keeping Mama.
Man, she just schooled them and they didn't even know it. Like, This is hilarious.
Look, who's doing the interviewing here?
Yeah.
Do you want to take over?
I want to go home.
I hope I'm not late.
Junius has sent us these to the people as a wedding present.
Well, any friend of Junior's is a friend of mine. How are you, dear?
Much better now that you're here.
I guess this must be love, huh?
Your guess is correct, Mr. Connor. Say, I'd like to see one of those, Miss Embry.
You will.
You will. In the paper.
Papa!
What?
You angel to get here in time for lunch.
Oh boy. She's improving on the fly.
Hello, friends and enemies.
Remove yourself.
Darling, I changed my mind. I will stay for lunch. She needs trouble to mature her, Kittredge. Give her lots of it. I'm afraid she can't count on me for that. Sometimes for your own sake, Red, I think you should have stuck to me longer.
I thought it was for life, but the nice judge gave me a full pardon.
The tension.
Oh, dear, how awful. What is it?
Your father.
Oh no.
Uncle Willie.
I beg your pardon.
Please go on into lunch, everyone. I want a word with Uncle Willie.
Oh my gosh. She shouldn't have switched them. Because now it's going to be complicated.
Who's on the spot?
We are, thanks to you, Uncle Willie.
Uncle Willie. Gosh. They're killing me, guys. They're killing me.
Well, not long if I can find the right books. It's family history and stuff like that.
What does he wish?
What'd you say?
What does he wish?
What?
If thee will consult with my colleague in there.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, this is the weirdest day of my life.
Washroom. Thank thee.
What is she doing there? Is that Tracy?
What, couldn't you afford to buy my book?
These stories are beautiful. I can't make you out at all now. You talk so big and tough, and then you write like this. I believe you put the toughness on to save your skin. I know a little about that.
Ew.
Look, let's walk, shall we? Be much more fun. Tell Mr. Kittredge we'll meet him at the pool. The story called With the Rich and Mighty. I think I liked it best.
With the rich and mighty, always a little patience.
I like that.
Ooh, she is not going to like that. Tracy's gonna try to manipulate him, I think, into spinning the story positively for her.
Come on, the dressing rooms are over here. Use any old one, but I think you'll find most of the junk in there. I have the most wonderful little house in Unionville. I'm never there except in the hunting season and not much then. And I'd be so happy to know that it was of some real use to someone.
A little bribery.
The idea of artists depending upon a patron Lady Bountiful has more or less gone out.
I'm sorry to have seemed patronizing.
Hello.
Hello. Don't tell me you've forsaken your beloved whiskey and whiskies.
How about you, Mr. Connor? You drink, don't you?
Oh, a little.
I thought all writers drank to excess and beat their wives.
Would you mind doing something for me?
Anything, what?
Get the heck out of here.
They bicker like an old married couple. Oh, wait.
It's astonishing what money can do for people. Don't you agree, Mr. Connor? She's a girl who's generous to a fault, except to other people's faults. She never had any understanding of my deep and gorgeous thirst.
It was disgusting. It made you so unattractive.
She finds human imperfection unforgivable.
Connor's like, I feel like I shouldn't be here. I'm just gonna sneak away.
When I read you're gonna marry Kittredge, I couldn't believe it.
I love him as I never even began to love you.
Sounds like you're trying to convince yourself.
You seem quite contemptuous of me all of a sudden.
I'm contemptuous of something inside of you you either can't help or make no attempt to. Your prejudice against weakness, your blank intolerance. You'll never be a first-class human being or a first-class woman until you've learned to have some regard for human frailty. But your sense of inner divinity wouldn't allow that. There are more of you than people realize. The married maidens.
He really accentuates the maiden virgin thing a lot. Is there something literal to that? Like, did she deny him when they were married or something? I don't know why he keeps bringing that up and using it against her.
Look what your friend considers a wedding present.
Why, it's a model of the true love. We sailed her down the coast of Maine and back the summer we were married. My, she was young.
What's that mean?
Easy to handle, quick to the helm, fast, bright.
Well, I'm gonna build you an ivory tower with my own 2 hands.
Like fun you are.
Yeah, that relationship is doomed. She's definitely not ending up with George, that's for sure.
That's the wonderful thing about you, Tracy. There's a kind of beautiful purity about you, Tracy, like a statue.
There it is again. Worshipped.
I don't want to be worshipped. I want to be loved.
But that goes without saying, Tracy.
They keep saying it over and over again. Goddess thing, queen, royalty, divine, worshipped. I'm very curious where this is going and what the overarching symbolism and metaphor of all this is going to be. I mean, she's dressed like a Greek goddess right now. The way the set's designed, all is very intentional.
I find very unamusing the stupid spectacle we're making of ourselves for the benefit of those two newspaper people. They can publish anything they like about me, but I insist that we inform Connor and the camera lady that we're all aware of their purpose here.
How does your dancer friend talk, or does she purr? Stop it instantly. I can't help it. It's sickening, as if he'd done nothing at all.
Which happens to be the truth. What most wives fail to realize is their husband's philandering has nothing whatever to do with them.
What?
The best mainstay a man can have as he gets along in years is a daughter. I think a devoted young girl gives a man the illusion that youth is still his. It's just as important to him as it is to any woman.
Oh my gosh.
You have everything it takes to make a lovely woman except the one essential, an understanding heart.
So I'm to blame for Tina Mara, am I?
To a certain extent, I expect you are.
No, she's not.
You mean you think I'm some kind of a goddess or something?
If your ego wants it that way, yes.
Her father is awful.
Let's all have a last drink. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. You never drink.
Prigs don't. Nor goddesses of any variety.
Well, we'd like to say something.
I'm all ears and eyes.
Back off, Uncle Willie. Dirty old man. Dirty old men.
I can tell there's something in the air because I'm being taken away.
What's the matter with Tracy?
If you ever happen to find out.
I'll tell you.
And remember, Mike, with the rich and mighty.
Always a little patience.
The plot thickens. Uh-oh. This isn't going to end well, is it? If she gets drunk at the party, not gonna be a good look.
Hello, you.
Hello.
You look fine.
I feel fine.
Good, good.
What was I saying? Oh, let's have another drink.
That's not what you were saying.
It isn't. All right.
Here we are, dear.
We're gonna have just one more drink before we
Not
go to...
you, I'm afraid.
What she really wants, George, is another dance with you.
Oh, very well.
Because of true love.
Yeah, there's no moss.
You leaving us, Jock?
Rather, but I'll be back.
Go on, darling. Champagne.
Why is she with that dirty old man? Get away from him.
This is where Cinderella gets off. Now, you hurry back to the ball before you turn into a pumpkin and 6 white mice. Goodbye.
It's the delivery. It's just so on point.
C.K. Dexter Haven, I would like to talk to you.
I feel like he's way too drunk to ask him anything.
Are you still in love with her? Liz thinks you are. But of course women like to romanticize about things.
Yes, they do, don't they?
Yes, they do, don't they? I can't understand how you can have been married to her and still know so little about her. I have the hiccups. I wonder if I might have another drink.
I feel like that's gonna make it worse.
You know, Tracy's no ordinary woman. She's sort of like a queen.
But then I imagine Kittredge appreciates all that.
Kittredge! Kittredge appreciates Kittredge. He's a 5-cent edition of Sidney Kid. Yeah, Kid's just using you like he uses everybody else. You don't know Kid like I know.
The world's his oyster with an on every month.
That's a bad idea.
I suppose you never heard about Kid's little arrangement in Kansas City. The true story on that little John would ruin him.
What would happen to you if I used this stuff?
You use it. Use it with my blessing. I'm not going to hand in a story on this wedding. I'm going to write one on Kid.
Let me do it. I don't have to tell him where I got my facts.
This same Sidney Kid, ladies and gentlemen of America, was at that very moment entertaining this South Carolina Mata Hari on his yacht. Don't interrupt me.
We've come for the body of Macaulay Connor.
Show Liz to a typewriter and stand back. And you dictate to her and then bring her home.
Aren't you coming, Liz?
Well, it seems I've got to commit suicide first.
What is she doing? She does not need to be driving the car. Oh my gosh. Don't drink and drive, people. Even in the 1940s.
I tell you what, let's have a quick swim to brighten us up. Dexter and I always swam after parties.
I'd be too drunk to go swimming. I don't know if that's a good idea. Someone could drown.
Aren't the geraniums pretty, Professor?
All right, lay off that professor.
Yes, Professor.
Now
Professor.
You're wonderful.
I don't seem to be made of bronze.
You're made out of flesh and blood. Oh, you're the golden girl, Tracy.
Shut up.
No, I've stopped.
Has your mind taken hold again, dear Professor?
Oh my goodness. The tension.
Why, yes, of course.
Oh, there it is.
Golly.
Golly.
Tracy, you're tremendous.
Put me in your pocket, Mike.
Oh my. I mean, it's really gonna be between Dexter and Connor. Like, George is not even in the equation.
When are you going to telephone Kid?
Time to get him here for the wedding. I can still tear it up.
Mike's only chance to ever become a really fine writer is to get fired.
You're a good number, Liz.
I just photograph well.
Why don't you take a swim?
Don't go out there. She loves Mike.
He's still got a lot to learn. I don't want to get in his way for a while.
Suppose another girl came along in the meantime.
I'd scratch your eyes out, I guess. That is, unless she was going to marry somebody else the next day.
Oh dear.
What are you doing here?
I could ask you the same question.
Well, I telephoned Tracy and her phone didn't answer.
Kittredge, I'd advise you to go to bed.
No, I don't want your advice. I'm staying right here.
Oh dear.
And the dreams that I dare to do.
Yeah, uh-oh indeed.
Seems the minute she hit the water, the wine hit her.
Second door to the right, top of the stairs. Mind you don't wake Dinah. But if I know Tracy, and I know her well, she'll remember a little of this. You don't believe it, then?
Oh, so you pretend not to believe it?
Yes, I pretend not to.
Why, you Say, listen, what right have you...
A husband. Still tomorrow, Kittredge. Oh, I'm sorry, but I thought I'd better hit you before he did. He's in better shape than I am.
Oh gosh, she saw everything. Gosh, y'all, I have no idea how this is going to end. They've been throwing some curveballs. My gut says she's gonna end up with Dexter again, but I'm not sure.
It's so important that I see you.
Must be riding that thing. Wouldn't we be more comfortable on pogo sticks? Oh.
What's the matter?
Nothing much. My head just fell off, that's all.
I stayed so late.
Oh, you should have taken a quick swim when you got home.
A swim? A swim?
There, now they're open.
I did have the funniest dream about you last night. Guess what I dreamed I saw coming over out of the woods? It was Mr. Connor, with his both arms full of something. And guess what it turned out to be?
What?
You.
I'm standing here solidly on my own two hands and going crazy.
On my own two hands.
And he just sailed right into your room with you. And that scared me, so I got up and went to your door and peeked in to make sure you were all right. He was gone by then.
Of course he was gone. Father.
Yes, Tracy?
I'm glad you came back. I'm sorry I'm a disappointment to you.
I wouldn't apologize to him.
I never said that, daughter. And I never will.
Ah, well, Donna.
How do you do? Don't worry, I'm going.
What's the matter with your chin?
What, was it showing?
A little. What happened?
Guess I stuck it out too far.
Yep, that's what happened.
And you're going through with it, huh?
Through with what?
The wedding.
Why shouldn't I?
Also, no regrets about last night, huh?
Why should I have?
Hello, Connor, how are you?
Well, just about as you'd think. You seen Kid?
Well, I'll have it out with him after the wedding.
Is that an alcoholic beverage?
That's for Tracy. Why, do you want one?
I'd sell my grandmother for a drink.
Doctor's orders, Red.
What is it?
Just the juice of a few flowers.
That's the last thing she needs is another drink.
What am I going to do?
Why ask me? Aren't you confusing me with someone else, a fellow named Kittredge or something?
I've got to tell him. Hello, George. I've got to see you for a minute before the wedding. He sent a note over at 10 o'clock.
Good. I told you he'd come to his senses.
Was he here, too?
Sure.
Good golly, why didn't you sell tickets?
Oh my gosh.
What did you think of my wedding present?
It was beautiful.
She was quite a boat, the true love. My, she was yar.
She was all right.
But the ship could still sail.
Your conduct last night was so shocking to my ideals of womanhood that my attitude toward you and the happy and useful life together has been changed materially. Your breach of common decency...
Tracy, all these people.
It's only a letter from a friend.
Ouch.
Yes, George, I quite agree with you.
That's all you have to say?
I wish for your sake as well as mine I had an explanation, but unfortunately I've none.
Tracy, your attitude is a little difficult to understand.
The so-called affair consists of exactly 2 kisses and a rather late swim.
You mean to say that was all there was to it?
I do.
Why was I so unattractive?
On the contrary, but you also were a little the worse or better for wine, and there are rules about that.
You'd had too much to drink, Tracy. Will you promise me never to touch the stuff again?
No, George.
But a man expects his wife to...
To behave herself naturally.
To behave herself naturally. Sorry.
But if it hadn't been for that drink last night, all this might not have happened.
Apparently nothing did.
Well, something did, but not as much as it could have been.
It seems you didn't think anything too well of yourself.
That's the odd thing, George. Somehow I'd have hoped that you'd think better of me than I did.
Can we, call this wedding off already? I do not want these two to end up together.
Mr. Sidney Kidd is here. He says he knows you.
What else did Mr. Sidney Kidd have to say?
Oh, he sent you the strangest message. He said, tell Haven he wins.
Mr. Sidney Kidd's presence here makes the marriage of national importance.
Come on, Tracy, it must be late. Let's let bygones be bygones. What do you say?
No.
Goodbye, George.
Well, if that's the way you want it. I have a feeling you had more to do with this than anyone.
Possibly, but you were a great help.
You're on your way out, the lot of you. And good riddance.
Oh, my sainted aunt.
Oh, no. Oh, my gosh.
I got you into this thing, and I'll get you out of it. Will you marry me, Tracy?
Oh.
No, Mike.
Why not?
Because I don't think Liz would like it.
Huh.
There's been a slight hitch in the proceedings.
2 years ago, I did you out of a wedding in this house by eloping to Maryland.
2 years ago, you were invited
dear?
to a wedding.
Just
in
the
this
loan.
house.
Here, put this
Then
ring in your
I
vest
did go
pocket.
out of
Don't
it.
have a
I
vest. Then hold in your hand. But I hope to make it up to you by going through with it now as originally planned.
But I hope to make it up to you by going beautifully through with it now, as originally and most beautifully planned. Dexter, are you sure?
Not the least bit of risk, will you?
You bet.
Best man?
Honored, CK.
Maid of honor?
Matron of honor, remember Joe Smith.
I am on board for this.
How do I look?
Like a queen, like a goddess.
And you know how I feel.
How?
Like a human being.
Do you know how I feel?
How?
Proud.
I did it.
Oh my goodness, I thoroughly enjoyed that. The dialogue, the script was just so tight and witty. I mean, I feel like I was laughing through half of that movie because the dry humor of it and almost kind of morbid humor of it, I don't know if that's the right word, but in certain spots, dark humor, that's the word I'm looking for. The dark, dry humor of it was just fantastic, and the actors are what sold it for me. Their performances were so good. Just superstars at the top of their game. Cary Grant, Jimmy Stewart, Katharine Hepburn. It was just fantastic. I mean, lines are just lines on paper until an actor reads them or performs them. And the delivery of those lines, the deadpan humor, and just the... It was so funny. It was so funny. Oh my gosh. I enjoyed that so much, and it really did keep me on the edge of my seat of where they were going to go with it. The only thing I knew for sure was that she was not going to marry George. I was pretty convinced that's not where it was going. Especially even at the end, when he was trying to talk her back into it, Tracy was just having none of it. And so after the first little bit of the movie, I was just wondering, is she going to end up with Dexter or is she going to end up with Connor? And yeah, it seemed like Connor was going to go through with it, maybe for ill. But Tracy came to her senses. I mean, it was there in the other scenes. She still definitely, even though she was hurt by the separation from Dexter, and there was all that anger and bitterness there, you could tell that it was because she still loved him. And the metaphor of the true love, their boat that they sailed away on, and then he gives her the little model of the boat as the wedding present. It was perfect. And implying there was still hope for them, that ship could still sail, and it did. I loved the ending of them getting back together, getting remarried. That was beautiful. I did not see that coming. I did not think they were gonna go through with the wedding but switch the groom, That was fantastic. And Part of me was really shipping Tracy and Connor too, but honestly, the thing that was holding me back was what ended up holding Tracy back, and that was Liz, because Liz and Connor had such good chemistry that I was shipping them too. And so I feel like we got the best of both worlds, and that we get Dexter and Tracy together, and then hopefully in the future, my headcanon, Connor and Liz get married. That was such an enjoyable watch, and very much like a play. There was a little bit of, traveling around to different locations early on in the story, but I mean, mainly the entire story took place there, like at the estate, the mansion, whatever you want to call it, the Lord household. But it didn't feel confined. It didn't feel like, oh man, we're only at one location, because that sprawling estate, there were so many locations and rooms that it didn't feel claustrophobic, if that makes sense. I loved the sets. Loved the production, the costumes, her gowns. Tracy's gowns were gorgeous, and a lot of symbolism there with that like Greek goddess gown she had. And I don't know, I feel like I need to watch it again with the whole thing in mind, but there was very much an internal development happening with her, of men looking at her as this perfect maiden and goddess, and she didn't want to be that. I mean, she says to her father at the end, I feel human. And it's got me thinking, like, did she just feel held to this impossible standard, and she never wanted to be? Like, she tried to meet that standard of perfection her whole life, but she never wanted that pressure. And so now this is the story of her finally casting off that pressure and just being herself. Dexter talked about how she never had compassion for him with his problem with being an alcoholic, obviously, in the past. And I wonder if that's because she was holding herself to this standard of perfection, so she was being incredibly harsh on everyone else and holding them to an impossible standard because she's really self-critical of herself and was projecting that onto them. I could be reading into this, but that's what you're here for, right? This is my reading. I don't know. I might change my mind on future watches, but it seemed like she was holding herself to an impossible standard and was then projecting that onto everyone else because she was frustrated and unhappy. And so she was just being I don't want to say unjustly, but very harsh and critical towards everyone else. I mean, I get it. Like, if she was angry and frustrated with Dexter because he had trouble with alcohol and he wasn't cleaning himself up, I get being angry and frustrated with that. But it's interesting just watching her arc and her development over the course of the story. It's certainly not like she should get drunk all the time and she should just let herself go, she should party it up. I don't feel like that's the message of the story. I feel like it's she hit that point where she just completely flew off the rails and got really, really drunk because she had been so incredibly hard on herself for all this time, and it finally just boiled over, basically, instead of her just, like, that won't happen if she just is herself and doesn't put this incredible amount of pressure on herself all the time. I feel like there's a social commentary happening in this movie, maybe with the times. I was not obviously not alive in the 40s, but I do know there were a lot of very harsh and strict standards back in the day, and I wonder if this is like a social commentary on the times and how women were treated. Maybe. I don't know. I feel like I'm just kind of rambling on here. I have a lot of thoughts about this movie and definitely need to watch it again, but very well done, very tight script, great dialogue, great performances, and the drama. The tension was off the charts. I really, really enjoyed it. Really kept me on the edge of my seat. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. I hope you enjoyed this reaction. Full-length watch-along link is in the description below. Head on over to my Patreon, check it out, and check out all the other fun benefits and full watch-alongs over there. Be sure to drop a like if you enjoyed and subscribe if you haven't, and I will see you guys next week for another Film Friday.